What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer Guys. More Halo Wars 2 action, and what everybody, I know I was, and I'm hoping a lot of you were waiting for to hear, is the official release date has been spoiled, if you will, and honestly, you should be even more excited because it's today. I'm recording this on the 27th, but when you're seeing it, it will already be the 28th, and sometime today, no official time frame has been given, but sometime today, the Jerome and Arbiter Leader DLC that we've been waiting for the month of June will finally be out. I expect it will kind of trickle out as it has done in the past. And again, no specific time frame for today, but wanted to get it out. So that's the great news up front. Additionally, the rest of this video is going to be talking about all the patch notes that we're getting. A huge amount of changes, absolutely huge. Not a ton of specific balance changes, just a lot of things that they've been fixing. There are some balance change type effects inside of the patch notes, but nothing specific no specific balancing updates that we usually see. Usually get patch notes kind of on one side, which are a lot of the UI, AI type fixes, audio, and those kinds of things, and then usually get a more focused balance change kind of update. This is kind of both rolled into one, but I still saw it more as a patch updates than anything else. But with that, we're going to jump into it. Some gameplay in the background. We'll roll through it. It's a huge post. There's a lot of stuff coming with this update, and we'll just kind of talk through that. I'll give my opinions on a few of them, and we'll just kind of get it consolidated. I will say just up front before we jump into them, as always, I'll link that stuff down in the description below. Also in the description, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. As soon as the update comes out, we'll be doing like we've always done. We have a ton of Halo Wars 2 content on the channel, and we're going to be doing that for this new update. We've got 2 leaders to delve into, a bunch of new units, new leader powers, so plenty of gameplay coming up in the very near future. So do that, please subscribe, hit that like if this video was helpful for you. As always, comment if you guys are hyped. I know I am. I'm glad it's going to be out in the month of June. I know there's a lot of speculation, especially from me personally, thinking that it might not actually make it out, but I'm glad it's on its way, and hopefully it's the smoothest of the releases that we've seen yet, but that will yet to be seen, so we can just keep our fingers crossed for that. Also, I will say the one thing that really keyed me in to this and the fact that these patch notes were up was Twitter. We have a Twitter. You can go ahead, it's in the description, you can follow us, but there's also a lot of really great community content updates and just simple things that come out. That's where I get a lot of my notifications for Rocket League, Halo Wars 2, Halo, even some Call of Duty stuff on there as well, so it's a great kind of avenue. I wasn't the biggest Twitter guy, but I have found it useful, especially for keeping up with the communities. So with all that said, we will jump in right here to the patch notes. I'm going to run through them, highlight the ones that I find important, but again, you can read the full patch notes in the description. Check out Halo Waypoint. It's got all the goodies for you. So let's get into this. So again, starting right off here, this is going to be the majority of it kind of focusing on UI, some of the AI changes. Again, patch notes. This is for the game update. It's scheduled for release on Wednesday the 28th, and I'm hoping it's going to go good. So UI improvements, selection box. This is actually one that a lot of these UI improvements specific to navigation I'm a big fan of. They've made it easier for the selection box for fringe units, so it'll be a little bit easier to select. Sub-unit selections are going to be a little bit more responsive with both your right trigger and your Y. Fog of War has been made more readable. I think that's kind of interesting, but it seems like there's been some subtle Fog of War changes throughout this patch, so we'll kind of talk through those. It lines up more closely with logical sight ranges, which I do think that makes sense. Visual transition when units emerge from Fog of War is much quicker. That's good. I've always found sometimes that units will kind of outrun Fog of War. Improvements to camera speed, scroll, and feel when playing with the controller. I think this is absolutely awesome. Obviously, a lot of console players out there, that's only what I play it on, and the ability to fast scroll and move around the map especially holding LB, is going to be huge. You can change those scroll settings now, so if you like the original ones, you can do that, but I honestly think that's probably one of the better changes. And then they're hiding player gamer tags and ranks in the map load screen. Something we talked about and kind of got spoiled a few days ago when we did the other video. It's a good move so that you can't really know who you're playing until once you get into the game. I don't know how much it's gonna solve people jumping in and out of the game like they kind of do and has been plaguing it, but we will kind of time will tell on that one. There are some AI improvements here, which include the AI no longer being able to place rally flags in places regular players couldn't place, which is good. AI is no longer going to be able to know when the player is going to begin targeting them with the leader power before they use it. Why this wasn't fixed earlier and it's still an issue is beyond me, but that's good. And then additionally, this one is probably the one people will see the most. Units will essentially not aggro against suicide grunts, which I think is really good. They'll stand their ground, they'll shoot at them, they're not going to run towards them, which is really good. So moving on, buildings and units. There's a ton here. I won't cover every single one of them, but I'll cover a few. Supply pad upgrade time being reduced is actually really interesting. That's going to kind of maybe, in the long course of the game, will it speed it up things a crazy ton? I don't think so, but it will have some additional effects. The shield generation stacking reduced per generator from 50 to 20%. This is something the community's been asking for a really long time, so it's great to see them bringing this in. Special abilities now gain the benefit from generic damage upgrades. I think that's really smart. They fixed a ton of stuff with the Hunter, which includes Hunter Captain's health being lowered, which I think is probably one of the best improvements, as well as him taking less healing from combat repair. All of these adjustments are just something that kind of needs to get Hunter Captain probably back into balance. He's definitely been one of those leaders that's been seeing a lot of play lately, and is one of the top tier leaders at this time with the current meta, so some adjustments there. Again, a bunch of other building and supply unit kind of shifts and changes, which is always good. Locust behavior being changed up a little bit. Skitterers are getting some kind of some balancing here. Vehicle upgrade, lowering them at all levels as far as their health. They can no longer become useless if they get paired with a unit that dies before complete pairing, so that's all good. Kodiaks, they should be able to shoot, especially if they have line of sight. So a lot of really good fixes here. Interestingly enough, the Spartans are getting some love here as well, and I think interestingly they no longer damage the unit that they're hijacking, which was one of those things that I always wondered why they did that in the first place. So that's a great improvement for me. If they're going to use their ability and you're going to be able to target and hit a unit, they should have the capability to take it down without actually hurting it anymore, because you want that thing as at most of the times as full of health as you can get it. Honor Guard's going to get a little bit of capability to kill a fleeing unit a little bit better. Snipers now can attack garrison units. There's a lot of garrison unit changes. Scorpions no longer be able to fire 2 canister shots. Again, a lot of this seems like stuff that was just not meant for the game originally, but things that people were doing, or interesting situations that people were finding themselves in, so they're just kind of polishing these things up, which is always good. So we'll continue to see some additional fixes and improvements for a few of the leaders, specific to honestly for Decimus as well as the Warlord down there kind of near the bottom. Interestingly enough, a few things that did catch my attention. Johnson's healing beacon, the size and effect are now correctly matching. I didn't realize they were mismatched, but obviously something that needs to be fixed. Blisterbacks, I guess we're having a problem where they could be deployed under the surface of the map. Hopefully those days are gone. We've definitely seen that at least in some firefight modes where they would go into one of the mountains, so that's always good to see. And then additionally, probably one of the more interesting balancing updates for me here is Colony's living barrier is now going to benefit from base fortify upgrades, which I think is really cool. It should definitely count as a building, so it's great to see in there. A few additional things up there. ODST is getting some changes as well, but again, if you want to check those out, go down, go to the patch notes, and you can read through all of them. So with leader powers, we have quite a bit of additional changes here going on. Again, really some good balancing stuff going through. I'm going to highlight just a few as we scroll down into them. The ones that stick out the most, I don't want to make this video too long. The biggest one for me probably is going to be mech overcharge and combat salvage can now be used regardless of whether the reticle is in Fog of War or not. I think that's really interesting because it's one of those things where I don't know how many situations I've been in where certain leader powers, especially those two, can be definitely beneficial if you're kind of into that Fog of War area. So really good there. Mass cloaking now removes units from the mini-map is another one I want to highlight because that really does make cloaking really good and really puts it back into perspective and something that should be kind of done from the beginning. A lot of the rest of these honestly do feel like they were just things that needed to be done again for some slight balancing, but as well again just interesting situations people were finding themselves in. I will also note it's cool that the restoration drones now target turrets and a lot of the other powers to include vehicle symbiotes are also going to have the capability to target turrets. I like that. I think that's neat. It's probably one thing from a design standpoint that they never intended to not allow it to target, especially with some of the turrets and the capability to drop turrets being pretty beneficial for any multiplayer game mode to include Blitz. So I like that. And then just some alignment things and just putting some other things into the correct balance here. Garrison units no longer healing faster than from leader powers than ungarrisoned units. That's a great change. Garrison units can be some of the most frustrating to take out or some of the best to use depending on your stance on those. I also find it interesting just EMP Mac Blast now correctly matches the targeting reticle. That's good. That was one thing that I never felt like it was the best of the leader powers, but maybe now with it correctly matching its targeting reticle, it'll kind of get back into balance. We have some engine updates here, really just probably more for the computer side than the console side, so you guys can take a look there. I don't want to take up too much more time with these, but we'll scroll through them here in just a second, give you a chance to read those on screen. Again, all this, the entire patch notes, all that good stuff will be linked in the description below. Alright, and last but not least, we have some art, some audio, and one additional note. I'm not going to cover too much on this, just some interesting art and audio fixes and things that they always seem to do, little bugs that they find, the capability to patch up and make the gameplay and the entire experience a little bit smoother, so great there. But one big thing that I found, and as you can see last but not least, players affected by earlier issues with loss of progress is going to have their progress restored based on their HaloWaypoint.com service record. This has been one thing I've seen on the forums quite a bit, people talking about it. That's been kind of a plaguing issue, so hopefully if you've hopped on there or you have Halo Waypoint or you've played some other Halo games, you probably do. If you've been affected by this at all, hopefully this is a solution that fixes it for you. So that will wrap up the patch updates. I just wanted to talk for a few minutes and honestly just give my overall opinions. Again, I'm extremely excited for this one. I think the leaders are going to be awesome. We've seen some pretty neat gameplay of some of the new units. I'm really excited, as always, to get my hands on them and see. I think some of these patch updates and some of the balance changes that they have kind of sprinkled in throughout this whole forum post is going to be really good. I'm hoping it will bring things more in line. People have really been asking for a balance update for a long time. It's essentially been since May, which that's a long stretch, especially for this game, and especially when people start figuring out strategies using certain leaders in specific ways or certain combos of troops. That's not always necessarily bad, but sometimes there are strategies that just really creep up, and this is a game that definitely needs consistent balance changes to keep both the casual and more competitive players happy. Casual side, they obviously don't want to continue to get crushed by the same thing, and on the competitive side, you don't want to limit your capability to play with different leaders or capability to use different strategies. You don't want it to be limited by a few really outstanding strategies or specific leaders that are really taking over the game. I think shield changes being one of the biggest things, some changes to the hunter captain as well as his skitterers will put certain things back in line. I don't always like to see the buffs. We've talked about that in some other videos, but sometimes, or the nerfs, excuse me, but sometimes those are necessary, and sometimes buffs on the other side are necessary. I would expect that after this one, although I've been wrong before, hopefully they'll give it a small period of time to kind of let the meta with the two new leaders kind of flesh out, see what things are looking like there, and if they do that, hopefully we'll get another balanced update if it's needed. You know, maybe a couple weeks from the release date of this, just to kind of keep things in sync. But again, extremely happy, super excited. Glad it's going to be releasing in the month of June, although they didn't skate by with too many days left. So hopefully today, again, as you're watching this, it should be up. No specific time. I will tweet out as soon as I hear and as soon as I get confirmation that it is up and downloadable. But as always, I would expect there to be some rolling out issues that they've had in the past, just with it populating in the store. The update will probably happen pretty quickly. Again, one thing that you can do, and this is very important to note, a lot of people have had problems. I have had problems myself personally with the update, but make sure if you do start to download the update and if it seems like it's taking forever, try not to, as best you can, try not to restart your console. Instead, go in, pause the update. It's sometimes going to take that a little while for it to recognize, but once it pauses the update, go back in, restart the update, and you should have no problem rebooting into the update. If you go through and you restart your console, a lot of times what ends up happening to people, and it's happened to numerous folks out there watching as well, is that essentially if you restart your console while it's trying to get to that update, it will make you re-download the whole game, and that's obviously something that we don't want to have happen. So that's just a little tidbit of advice, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. I know it's kind of a little bit more of a bland video as far as the visuals are going, but hopefully these were all helpful for you. Again, check down in the description. You can read the full patch notes, and there's a bunch of other stuff down there. Average Gamer Guys Club, it's still growing. We've got about 20 people in there now. Always people looking to play some Halo Wars, so feel free, jump in on Xbox, join that club. You'll automatically be accepted. We're always looking for new people there to kind of continue to grow our little community. Comment down below, let us know how excited you are. Feel free, again, follow us on Twitter. That's a good platform for us. Not only let you know new videos are up, but also sharing some additional details, like when the actual update is going to be coming out. So look forward to that. And then, as always, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We've got a ton more content coming. I've been Doc with Average Gamer Guys. Thank you guys so very much for all of the support. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon and talking some new Halo Wars 2 content. Thanks for watching.